Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki and welcome to my little yarniverse. So hello, welcome. You might have noticed that we're in a slightly different location today, and that is because up until recently it was beautifully sunny and I thought I was going to come sit outside and crochet for a bit. I even brought my sunglasses out, and then this big ominous dark cloud started shifting across the sky. So yeah, we'll see how well this goes. I just brought a crochet project out with me. This is a new project and I will chat about that in just a little bit. But I thought I would just intersperse chatting about this project, why I'm making it, what it's for, with a few time lapses of me working on it. So let's jump into a time lapse, shall we? So what am I making at the moment, and what am I making it with? I am making something out of this beautiful claret coloured yarn that I picked up from Home Bargains, which is a discount store in the UK. And I was quite surprised actually that they had some really nice colours in there. It's where I got the bronze, like rusty orange colour that I'm going to use at some point for some Ravenclaw stuff. But I also found this, and I can't resist a autumnal clarity colour like this, so I picked up some of these as well. And I picked them up because what I wanted to start doing was making a few more garments in this colour to put back in my wardrobe, because what will it have been now? It would have been like 2 or 3 years ago maybe. It was like partway through my PhD. I had these really lovely burgundy outfits, and I just can't wear them anymore because I put weight on during lockdown and during the end of my PhD and things. So yeah, I need to make myself new wardrobe. And so I wanted to start trying to make a garment, and I thought, okay, well, I'm not having much luck with knitting a garment, so why don't I try crocheting a garment? And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to crochet myself a cardigan. So yes, I think it's going okay, except that, so it is a bit of an experiment, and what I've basically done is I've used an equal number of stitches on each of the arms and the back, and then the front is, because it's cardigan, it's that number of stitches but divided by 2, so on each side. So it's very square, and then at the corners of each of those stitches I have raglan down and increased, so we've got this diagonal stitch going along there down to the arm. Now this isn't really the shape of a person because there's no equivalent in this garment of what in knitting you'd call short rows at the back of the neck, so that will elongate the back slightly, and it just means that like your garment isn't going to be like tucking up at the neck on the front. And also I'm not quite sure the measurements are quite right for my body shape, because where we go into the arms, this sort of sits quite far forward on the body, and not very much like under the arm. So like this gap here, this where you add stitches, is supposed to be under the arm and only really under the arm. Like I think these corners are meant to come under the arm slightly, and this is just meant to join it, but that's not really how it worked on my body shape. My raglan that I was doing was actually coming and sitting quite far forward on the front, and then obviously quite far backwards on my back, rather than coming under the arm. So I think that's something where the number of stitches I use for the arm and for the body is probably going to matter a bit more, or it could be how I raglan, so it could be how I increase. For this particular corner I've increased once on the front and once on the on the side that will become the arm, and then when I get around to the back, so next to the next raglan seam, it's again once on the side and then once on what will become the back, all the way around. So I'm increasing, quick math, 2 times every corner, 4 corners. I'm increasing 8 times every round with the raglan, and I'm not sure that will fit my body. So that could be something to do with the number of stitches on the front and the back. So it might not be that I want to do a square, I might want to do more of a rectangle. Or it could be something more to do with those increases. I maybe want to be increasing every other row. Maybe I want to be increasing only on the front and the back, but not on the arms so much. So yes, that would be interesting. But I think the thing is that increasing differently on the front and increasing on the back and increasing differently on the sides, which will be the arms, might look quite strange in a raglan, because that raglan seam is very definitive. If I hold this up, like, you can see where the stitches have changed direction, so your eye is kind of drawn to the raglan. And I think if it wasn't symmetric, or if it wasn't evenly distributed, or if there was something off about it, I think that pattern recognition part of, at least my brain, but I'm sure other people have it too, that pattern recognition would just go, ooh, did she drop a stitch? Ooh, that doesn't look right. So I think I need to work it out using maybe increasing every other row, or just changing the shape from something more square to something more rectangle. So that is something that I'm going to have more time to experiment with, and I do actually have more yarn for that, and it's been sitting on my shelf for a little while now, waiting for a project to do with it. And I just thought, actually, there's no reason for me not to do something simple if it's in a colour that I really like. And I actually did embellish this slightly, so you can see that I have done this pattern here, which is just a very simple, like, cross stitch. So you skip a stitch, you crochet into the next 3 stitches, and then you like crochet back on yourself into the one that you missed, and it has this really nice effect. Very simple texture to add. I only did 3 rows because I just wanted to give it a little bit of embellishment, because I was getting a little bit bored of just the US double stitch or the UK triple stitch. But I think it's in a colour I love, so I don't think it should matter too much, actually, the texture that I'm going for, because I've done basic knitted garments before and I've not been bothered by that, even if it's been a solid colour. So yeah, a little bit of texture will work. And this is kind of inspiring me to start thinking about my blue jumper again, the knitted one I was making and the one I was having all that trouble with. I think it's inspiring me to take another look at that, and to finally actually frog that back and start it again, and maybe try to increase it in a way that works more for my body, trying on more regularly and not trying to fit a pattern, but taking lots of notes about what I'm doing, because the whole point of that project is a practice run to find out what my shaping is for a fair art design. And if I don't have the exact numbers for that fair art design, that will go horribly wrong. So yeah, I think I just needed to get some yarn off my shelf. This will get rid of, well, it's not off my shelf, it never went on my shelf, there's no room on my shelf. I have 4 balls in this colour. Well, I have two and a half now, because there's already 1.5 balls in here. And I just figured, like, it is in a bag at the side of my bed because the shelves have exploded again. And I just needed to start eating my way through some of that. And there are other yarns in similar colours, also some purples that are on my shelf, which again, they're sort of in 4 packs, maybe I've got more than one, that I definitely could be making a garment out of. And if crocheting is the way to go with that, because I have more freedom for frogging back. I find crochet is easier to frog back because I don't lose my stitches, whereas if I have to frog back my knitting, I have to be very careful, and I put in like a thread through the stitches that will catch it, so that I can just take the needles out, frog it back, and then it will get caught on that thread and it won't go any further, which has made things a lot easier. But it doesn't really work if you're working with a pattern as much, because it's harder to work out where the stitches that you need to go through. So it's a bit of a hack for simple jumpers, but crochet at the moment is doing me a world of good when it comes to garment making, which is such a shame because I really wanted to improve my knitting. But yeah, that is where we're at. I have spoken for a little while now. The sunshine has still not come out, but it hasn't rained, so I might sit out here for a little bit longer, do some more crochet, and yeah, and then I'll just wrap the video up and show you how far I've got. So I did have to come back inside. I was sat there for a little bit longer, and then I felt a few little spots of rain, and I just thought, you know, there's that feeling, I don't know if it's like a pressure drop or a pressure rise or something, but that sort of feeling in the air that, okay, it's gonna tip it down. It didn't tip it down though. It felt like it was going to, but I just came inside. I kept my eye out the window. It didn't really clear up, but it didn't rain either. So yeah, I don't know. I probably could have stayed outside, but it's fine. So yeah, came inside, binged watched some television, continued crocheting away with the second ball of yarn that I was working on. So this is now 2 balls of yarn. And it's not the length I would want it to be. It's a bit short of that, maybe by a couple of inches. I can't. There we go. So it's like down to there, which is like where my short line is. So it could be longer. But yeah, I think it's looking okay. So one thing I want to change is how this has fallen. It's kind of, the raglan's come here and it's come really sort of low into my body, whereas I would have preferred it to maybe start further up and come in here. I wonder if I actually need even a triangle here, like an actual point to start the raglan in both directions. I don't know. I think, because I don't know how easy it would be for me to adjust how steep or shallow this seam is, but it comes from here to down here, which I really want it to be more there, I think. There instead. Or maybe, so like I can either move the whole thing up, which will bring it in lower, so that would be reducing the number of stitches on that side and increasing them on this side. Or I need to change how shallow it is. So yes, because at the moment it's really quite baggy under there, and if I start trying to make a circle out of that for the arms, I don't know how that's going to end up looking, because that's very L-shaped, not very circle-shaped. Yes, so I've got that to do. I've got 2 more balls in this colour, so my plan of action is to try and make a sleeve. Try and make both sleeves. I don't actually like really long sleeves down to my wrists. I will probably want to stop it somewhere like maybe here. So I'm hoping by the time that I've started it and then tapered to my arm and kind of brought it to a stop here, that I will still have some of each of the balls of yarn left, maybe even a whole ball of yarn, and then I will be able to add a lot more length to the cardigan. I'm calling it a cardigan because it has a break, but I'm not sure that I want to add a button band at this point. Maybe I should to finish it off, I'm not sure, but I don't have any buttons for it. So I would never button a cardigan up anyway. That's not kind of how I wear cardigans. So I might add like the band but no actual buttonholes and no buttons, just to tidy up the end. But again, I would need yarn to do that. So I definitely need to pause the length, start on the sleeves, and work out how much yarn I've got left at the end to add to the bottom of the shirt. I had used, there was like a little scrap left in the middle of the first ball that wasn't very good quality actually. It's very fuzzy, and I sort of tried to cut the fuzzy part out and then just use the good part, which was what I needed to finish off the row I was on, because I started the row and I got halfway round, which was a bit sad. So I did use that little scrap that was left to just finish the row. So yes, it's not terrible. I could make do with this if I needed to at this length, but it would probably be better to have a bit more length on the cardigan. So yes, definitely need to start sleeves and then worry about the length afterwards. I'm babbling, I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to stop now. Anyway, yeah, just slightly different video. I do have something to announce, and that is that after consideration, I'm going to do the podcast fortnightly from now on instead of weekly. And that is just because at the moment we have got a lot going on. Really exciting stuff, again, can't wait to tell you, but at the moment I just need some rest, and also I have just had days where instead of crocheting I've just collapsed on the bed and tried to go to sleep. So it's very busy. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of my spare time being taken up by stuff outside of crafting and outside of my hobbies, and then when I do have time, I'm so exhausted that I just have to rest and lie down. So I'm gonna go for fortnightly, just as a temporary measure. Hopefully we'll get back to weekly at some point, but yes, for the foreseeable, fortnightly from now on. I hope that's okay. Well, I mean, I can't really sustain it otherwise, so that's what's going to happen. So sometimes they might be longer, I don't know. It will depend on what I've had time to make, so they might be a little bit longer to sort of compensate. Other times they might just be the usual length, but I just needed to sort of stagger things a bit more and take some time out. So yeah, I'm sure that other YouTubers do the same, so I'm sure it's fine. But I just felt bad because I've done it like weekly pretty much since I started, and so this is a bit of a big change because the only times I've missed it have been either for Christmas or because I've been busy, and I guess that actually by just allowing myself this time, it will make things a lot easier. So fortnightly from now on, which means I'm going to wrap this video up, get editing, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time for another video. Bye for now, everybody.